I'll call the meeting to order, and we've got a few guests. Mike, Chris, and Katie are here. So I'll start with the minutes. Give people a second to take a look at that.
You could save that till later.
What's that?
You could save it till later. Give people a chance. That's my fault.
All right, I'll skip to the treasurer's report then, while we're waiting. People can look.
Okay. I'm just rounding, and no activity in the open space expense. It's $250 basically. Rider is $4,200. The Preservation Trust, the last time we met was $13,246.81. When I contacted Kelly to get the balance, it was $13,012.35. So there's a discrepancy of about $200. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm just, out of curiosity, want to know what that is. So. Oh, and just while we're talking money, update on the invoices. Thank you very much for dutifully scanning them. I thought it was all set. I went to the meeting Monday night. It was a Zoom. They approved it. I made the point that it's not really projects that were represented here. It was maintenance, routine maintenance. Because one of the questions was, well, do you do this every year? And I said, well, we should. But it's just one of those things. You do the best you can in keeping up. So the status will be, they are right here with the warrants, the warrant voucher, and the invoices, and I will personally drop them off to Sandy, and Sanda is going to stop by, sign them. So maybe they'll be in time for Christmas. So thank you all for being patient.
All right, people had a chance to look at the minutes? Enough? Yeah. Any comments, corrections?
Just that one at the top.
And Mark had the one too with the
All right,
land and water conservation.
couple minor edits to the minutes.
Move that we approve the minutes with those two minor edits.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the minutes are read and accepted. Old business, updates on Destiny's Garden. Anything?
It's winter, she's working on art. She's building stuff at home. So, that's pretty much it. Can't
All
really
right.
put anything in, roll the grounds for it.
Is she gonna make concrete mushrooms?
I think she's gonna do the metal domes with out of the
Bunk
bowls
pans,
bunk
right?
pans. Yeah, because the concrete she decided was kind of heavy to trek all the way in there.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking they make concrete now with styrofoam in it or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. This
but
would
she's got a
be-
better solution.
Yeah, it's much lighter and easier to carry. So trekking it all the way in there.
All right. Hunter's Eagle Scout sign project.
You want to go or do you want to talk about it? Or you want me to?
Well, I haven't heard from him since
Okay,
we
yeah,
last saw him, so.
He's, we have the signs, the last 3 signs carved and stained. So now we gotta do the white part is being worked on right now to get all the lettering whited, and then we gotta do the yellow splotch and seal it. We're hoping maybe this weekend. If not, it'll be the weekend after.
There you
To get those last couple in. So, and then we'll have to trek out there, so.
Okay.
There'll be hopefully not a lot of snow, and we'll just get it done because it's the last 3. And one's not too far; it's right there on the top. But the other 2, you gotta kind of trek in. But it's pretty flat, so if you go in the back way.
I've had a couple compliments actually on signs,
Good.
the new signs, especially the one up at Gates that we last put up.
Yeah, because you can see it right from the road. So
Yeah. For the rest of the committee, I've collected all the old signs so far that are down, and I wanted to figure out what we wanted to do with them. I mean, I'm thinking there might be some places where it would be helpful where the trails kind of
Put one
One of
midstream or
put it
something?
midstream. Yeah, as long as we got them, they're free. The price is right. You know.
Yeah, I've got one,
Yeah, we have one
what's that,
that was
behind
on
the
the ground.
chimney?
Yeah.
We found one, it was probably about a year ago, but it was buried in the weeds and stuff like that. so.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get you ours. Yeah, yeah. If you find some places midstream, that'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it won't happen until the spring, but over the winter I can repaint the lettering or whatever. Just,
Okay.
If you want them retouched up, get them to me and I'll get them to do them.
That sounds
Well,
like
we
an
already
offer.
have it.
Let me
going.
write that down.
Well, we're already in the middle, so it's not like,
Yeah.
Is the sound on?
That's a good suggestion.
because we're in the middle of staining and like, so we already have all the supplies out.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say I was going to ask Hunter when he was done to, return the supplies, and I.
That's
could
up
use
to
it.
you. If you want to do it, have at
I
it.
don't.
Just saying, we have it kind of like midstream in the middle of it, so
No,
we
that-
just kind of add them to the list, and then the other ones we could always get to you, so that way you can put where you'd like when we finish putting the last ones up. But again,
I'm more than willing to
because I'm sure.
let you talk him into doing it.
Yes, the kids love painting, let me tell you.
What is that?
I'm not, they can't see my face, so they don't know who's talking.
That was your mother.
Yes, not that my voice isn't very distinct.
Yeah, like we wouldn't recognize.
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Who is that?
But,
I know, like 3 aisles over at Walmart. Oh, I can hear Katie.
Do you want me to ask him instead of you saying he will do it?
You can. He'll probably say yes anyway. He'll be like, Mom, they want me to paint more times.
Okay.
I'll be like, yes, you should. It's a good idea.
Well, I noticed that you volunteer him for a lot of stuff, so maybe.
Well, that's because
I'll ask
they'll
him.
do it if you ask. They really will.
All right. Well, I'll get in touch with him.
All
then.
right.
What was the final decision, whatever you want to call it, relative to the top of Gates Hill, the signage on that new section?
Yeah, it's there.
Big, tall, right
Just to
before
the, just to the right of the gate,
Okay.
through the path there that
Okay.
hugs the top of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
there one, and then is there anything at the far end where it takes a left
There,
hand?
there will be.
Okay.
There will be.
Okay.
That's one of the. He offered with help from Katie to, as long as he had the wood and the materials, he'd make a sign for that too. So when it goes down in the woods,
Okay.
so he'll have that.
Good.
And Tim and I cleared that. You were right. It was the spot that Mark has suggested was going through where all that brush was.
Yep.
So we cleared that up, and now it's a nice open path.
All right. Land Prioritization Subcommittee. Here's a tentative path forward, because I think we really need to start moving and be proactive to the extent that we can be proactive. Made me nervous a week or so ago. I saw a couple vehicles. People know where Ford Lane is. You folks know where Ford Lane is, but it's an old town road that off of Root Road that goes from Root Road to Burnchurch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it doesn't cross the town line, so, I mean, the road is a different name if you go across the town line, but, so if you're going down Root Road and you start at the intersection of Cruz and Thompson, it's down 300 or 400 yards on the left, and, well...
Pretty good looking road, right?
Yeah.
At
It's
that
off
point?
at an angle.
At that point, it's a
Yeah.
very well-defined road, because they cleaned up the first 400 or 500 yards of it to be able to get logging trucks
Oh, yeah, yeah.
in and out. And past that, it's still a well-defined road. Double stone wall, most of it. A big old house foundation down at the bottom of the valley. And I think that's probably where it got its name. Probably a family named Ford lived down there, is my guess. But at any rate, there were a couple vehicles parked there, and I was trying to see if there was any identification on it. There
I think they
wasn't,
were
but-
hunters,
Hunters.
maybe?
Well,
instead
usually
of-
the
Could be.
hunters are, I mean, not always, but drive trucks. These were just, like, one was a zip car. Because if they do get something, which is their plan, they want to get it out,
Yeah.
and they have a truck
At
to
any
get
rate,
it out.
all right. Here's a suggestion, a path forward. We can update the master list that we've been working with is in an Excel file, and it identifies all the Chapter 61 lands, at least from a year or two ago. And it correlates to the town assessors map relative to codes and things like that. So you can find the properties by going to the assessors map and then using this code to see where they exist physically in the town. First step would be to make sure that that 61 list is up to date. So Mark can send Rick an updated Chapter 61 list, and then we can make sure ours is all set.
Yeah. Well, I don't have this year's, but I'll see if I can get one.
Okay. The second step, are there, besides Chapter 61, are there other properties that ought to be on this list as we go through and evaluate them? I know we've been using 61 as a basis, but
I'm sure, but maybe those would be the first ones anyway. I mean, there's a number of them, so just
Is it-
getting through those would take some time to do,
but the only way to identify those is personal input?
probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else you.
Yeah.
you do
Okay,
it.
well then I'll take that as a good course of action then for this, and I know Mike wants to be part of that exercise. So if people are aware of properties other than Chapter 61 that could be of interest to evaluate and potential acquisition as open space land, then send that to myself or to Rick. Mike?
Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road. You might want to look at properties that have conservation restrictions on them. Oftentimes, they also are in Chapter 61,
Well,
but,
if they have a conservation restriction on them, they're already permanently protected.
but in case you want to, obtain the property,
No,
no?
No,
don't think we would.
I mean, the goal is to conserve them, and if
Once
they're already
that's on there,
conserved.
it's, right, take an act of Congress time.
Somebody wanted to, donate the property to the town or something.
Okay, but yeah, that kind of stuff. But if it's already conserved, that's already taken care of.
Okay.
So, and that was Mark's point.
Chris has a comment.
Yep, I got that. Chris?
There are absolutely, Christopher Monroe, Grimes Road, in Planning Board. There are absolutely properties that are town-owned or are in tax title or going to tax title that you should be looking at, specifically the one off of Streeter Road. If that is not used by the Affordable Housing Committee to put together a project, I hope Open Space is the first group in line to try to take it before it goes to auction, because it's 40 acres or so, it abuts Westminster State Forest, and if affordable housing doesn't use it, it's just calling out to you guys.
Yeah, you mentioned that a few months ago, and what's the is there an update on
So most of
affordable
the
housing?
parcels have been taken by the town, but the access way is apparently still held up in tax court. So the strip that actually goes out to Streeter Road, that is not yet resolved.
But how about with so that's as far as the affordable housing project or potential, that's, you're waiting to hear about the resolution on that before?
Yeah, the Affordable Housing Committee was spun out of the planning board, so it's no longer the planning board, it's now a standalone committee, and it's looking to meet. And one of the reasons for that is because it wasn't possible for the planning board to have a working group session about trying to do an open space residential development there. Because whenever we tried talking about it, we'd get 40 people in the room, and it wasn't productive. So it needed to go to a place where there could be working groups to come up with an idea, to come back to the public with an idea. But as far as where it stands with the town, it's a handshake deal between the town administrator and the Affordable Housing Committee that it goes there first. But after that, if it doesn't work out, and it might not, because it's not super popular with the neighborhood association over there, it should definitely be considered for open space.
Space. It's about 40 acres, you said?
Yes.
38.
Yeah, 38 and change with access to Streeter Road and tying into a little corner strip of Westminster State Forest.
That's a no.
Who chairs the, this new committee?
Nobody yet. There's been a few people appointed to it, and I think the select board is still looking for a couple people from the public.
No, I think the one person from the public has stepped up.
Okay.
I think there was only one, but I could be wrong, there might have been two.
Yeah,
But
there's
I know
no,
one has stepped up.
yeah, there's no chair yet, and there's no chair apparent either, I don't think, so,
I don't want
The
I'm on it.
The CPA representative is Danielle Arakalian, so I know CPA had the request and she stepped up and said she would do it. So, how many other?
Who did on CPA?
Danielle Arakalian,
Oh,
she lives on High
Arakalian,
Street.
Yep.
and we sent Alice from planning, so
Yeah.
we're represented on it too, and I think Katie, you're on it from.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, so we'll hear about it if it doesn't become an affordable housing. Okay,
Don't worry.
that's where I was going.
I got you. I will
And
make
while
sure you
we're-
hear all about it.
Well, we're talking about smaller parcels like 38.4 that originally worth $139.9 and sold for $90,000 like 2 weeks ago.
What?
The Selfridge Road. Do we know, that's not solar at this point, do we know, was it bought by a private person? Is that public record yet? I'm just curious.
I actually didn't look up the deed, but my understanding was that it's a private person, yeah.
Private person that builds houses?
I doubt it.
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't
I
it?
suspect it's more a end user type person.
Okay, anyway, so if we had been ready on that, we would have gotten a bargain, but we weren't ready. It's gone.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole idea, been about getting this moving. Do you have Chris Mike's and Katie's email? So you can,
I do.
Yeah. So Rick will send out just a request for suggested properties to add to our master list for evaluation. And then the second step in the process, well, once we get the master list updated, would be we can send that out to this entire group. These are all interested people, so obviously the committee and the three that are here, and just ask for, like, just looking at it intuitively, give us a suggestion on the first 10 or 15 properties that we ought to look at for evaluation. We'll run that through our tool. Chris?
Yeah, the planning board would definitely like to look at that on the record, and ultimately the best person to share that with for that is Mark.
Okay. And then once we have those recommendations, then we'll get together. That's where I know Mike wants to be part of it, and we have a subcommittee to use the tool and run through the evaluations, and then the subcommittee can report back to the overall committee at a subsequent meeting. How does that sound like a plan forward? Any other suggestions?
I think it'd be good to, after we've done, I don't know, half a dozen parcels, to stop and
Reassess the tool?
Yeah.
see whether it's giving us exactly the information that we want it to.
Yeah.
Consensus. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time we go through this process that I'm talking about, then hopefully we can get that done prior to the next meeting, and then we can bring in that assessment to the next meeting.
That'd be great.
All right? All right. Any more comments on the utilization of the ARPA funds for Malone Road? I don't know if we ever came to a conclusion on.
Where does that stand with is the select board all done at this point with that?
No,
Yes.
we're going back again at it on next Tuesday. Not tomorrow, next week. We gave you guys, I think it was like 6,000 and change, and
Oh.
there was a plan for a grant application which has been put in, and I have asked if we know anything about that.
Assessments is due back, but it's not that.
Yeah, that's what I got a hold of Heather and Sandy to see if
Yeah.
they had heard anything. And
Yeah, I mean, we had everything on hold until we got
Yeah.
word back on that.
Yeah,
But-
so, yeah, until we hear back about the grant funds to see if you guys can get the money for the rest. I mean, there's a down payment from ARPA, but that's about it at this point.
Right.
Okay, what was it, 6,000 or 16,000?
No, I wanna say it was six.
It was originally 16, but you may have gone through multiple iterations
Yeah,
since
that's
then.
so in the minutes,
Oh, was it
because
16?
we were trying to
Yeah, I think
recall,
it
it
was
was
like
16.1 at some point.
I can't remember. I'm not gonna lie. The
Yeah,
numbers
no.
have been all over the place so bad.
That does ring a bell, 16.
It was 16 at one point.
And
but
now it's
They've had
6.
further discussions.
Few
I-
digits
maybe.
different.
I think was down to 6, but don't quote me. 'Cause
You need to
again-
stop talking about it, or it'll be zero.
No, there's a number there. I know there's a number there.
So the minutes need to be amended, just.
No, that was what was said at the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Invasive tree and mowing at Malone. We'll still try and get that done. Maybe this weekend. Rick said it would be better if the ground was frozen, maybe a little bit of snow mixed in too.
Well, you gotta be able to see what you're doing though. I mean, Stephanie likes to run over rocks, but
That'd make a great photograph. Bush hog going through the snow.
Well, we'll see if we can squeeze it in.
Along the new, was it Gates Hill Trail, this
Yeah,
new
Gates
section? I mean, Rick, you were up there looking at it. Is it worth, if we cut just a few trees, some of which are dead and fallen on the ground, you'd be able to bush hog the goldenrod and whatever else is creeping into the edge of the field. Is it worth pushing the edge of the field back a little, or?
Oh, that would be, just from doing that, that'd be a pretty easy thing to do.
It's not that far from
No.
the edge of the hayfield to
No,
the trees.
that side, the lower side is a big project.
Yeah.
There's good-sized trees and there's a lot of dense
And
shrubbery.
we're talking
and
the
stuff.
upper side right
We're
now.
talking the upper side, and that's very sparse through there. So my envisionment would be to move it off the field by approximately 15 feet, something like that.
Oh, we did, okay.
Trim them.
Oh, you're talking about putting it into the trees?
Yeah, and just trim branches, but, no,
I would be opposed. It's just, I mean, there's a lot of brush to be dealt with in there.
there's a lot of
And it
trees in
just
there.
puts you closer to the road.
yeah. So we'll just move it in
I'd just-
close to the trees.
I'd rather just leave it at the edge of the field.
Okay.
But just don't let it encroach anymore, just, when he hates that, right? So,
But
Yeah.
you think we can pick up more space before we get to the trees? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's a few trees and a few dead fallen trees that have, forced the hay cutting further from the edge, and now it's all goldenrod and stuff.
Oh,
And
okay. Well,
if we cut a few
we could deal with
trees,
that.
I'm thinking just, one
Okay.
bush hog width, 6
Okay.
feet or 8 feet or something like that.
Yeah, that should be pretty easy to do. All right. Gate to Gates Hill, actually, maybe that's somewhat old business too, because that was brought up in a later date.
Yeah, I think the hinge post, I think it's broken off underground. It's pretty
Yeah.
floppy.
It is.
So that's probably a spring project
Yeah.
at this
Well, if we're gonna
point.
be up there working on the foundation, that'd be the time to do it.
Yep,
Yeah.
You're gonna have to stick something in it to pull that out, or
Yeah.
just move the
maybe
location.
that'd dig around it a little bit and then grab it and pull it out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then everything's out of line then.
Right.
So,
Yep.
but that would be pretty easy to do, just to dig around it and grab it with the jaws and pull it straight up. Because it can't be down there 3 feet or something, and it's not a huge post.
Right.
It's probably a 5 or 6 inch
Yeah.
post there.
Yeah, if it isn't too far down, you just put a bolt in it and pull it out.
Yeah.
You still wanna donate the telephone pole?
Yeah, oh yeah, we got a bunch, if people want them. And just relative to telephone poles too, we tried to get some, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And I thought it would be easy, and then what we ended up finding out, I finally did get to talk to somebody that knew about using old telephone poles, and he said they're no longer available to the public. In fact, they have to go back and be identified for appropriate destruction for environmental reasons. So the ones I got, we were able to get through Steph's dad from Wachusett Mountain. They had a bunch that they weren't using anymore. Most of them are in pretty decent shape. Some are a little bit rough, but most of them are pretty decent shape. So we probably have 15 of them or 20 of them or something. If people, I know you wanted one or something. But, the famous Christmas tree is now live and active. Mark took us up there, made Steph and I put blindfolds on as well. So you couldn't see where the tree is going in. But yep, that's up and active. And I know I can see Katie's got a big smile on there.
Katie says she can see it from her road. I didn't
From
even know.
Ragged Hill, you
From
can
Ragged
see
Hill.
it?
Yeah, when you're, all right,
A certain
from
point?
68, when you start going down.
Yeah?
You can see it on Ragged Hill.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
Neat.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yes.
Oh, and check out Williamsville Chapel. There's candles in the window.
And swags on the window.
And swags, yeah.
And those nice newly painted windows.
Yes, 4 of 17.
7.
7, right, of 21. then.
Right.
It's a big job.
That's it, what I got. Any other new business that anybody wants to bring up, committee or other?
Oh, yes. I thought I was going to have it actually online, but at any rate, I want us to start tracking volunteer hours that we're putting in to all these projects. It'll be useful for any future grant applications to be able to point back and say, hey, look at all this community involvement we have.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
Hunter's going to get me his hours
Yes.
at the end of his project.
Yes.
I've got all the hours from the signage project. I'm just planning to maintain a spreadsheet
Okay.
up on the Google Drive. I haven't put it up there yet, but
Okay.
hopefully in the next week or so, I'll stick it there and send an email around. People can catch up from earlier this year. A couple, I'd like to get the Link Trail project in there.
Yep.
The
Susan.
Gates Foundation.
Susan, your gardening at Malone can go in there.
Haven't done much this year, but
Any-
yeah.
Anytime we're out doing trail maintenance, stuff like that.
And just report it, and in monthly, we could just touch base and, update it ourselves into the Google
Yeah,
Drive.
everybody
But
would
just,
just
it would be
throw it
fun
in
to check it
themselves.
each month, sort of, like we do the money, like we do
Yeah.
the minutes, and
Yeah,
see
that
where
can be
we're
a
at.
treasurer function.
See the trends.
Gotcha. As far as the Mount Jeff thing, I ran into Joe Cataldo up there walking. He was one of the people that was commenting on the new signs. He would like to refinish the picnic tables up there, but needs the key to the locks that are on the chains that hold them into the ground. And
Oh.
I suspect nobody has those.
He doesn't have them?
I'm guessing you're right.
Who
The
put
Lane
them there?
family might, but they'd be rusted and everything at this point.
I mean, who locked them up in the first place?
The Lane family,
Oh.
maybe?
Or
So-
maybe DPW?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, so, I
Probably
mean,
Jassy.
Jassy, maybe.
yeah,
We don't know.
I'll ask Jassy, but I told him I'd get back. I mean, we can always cut the chain.
Yeah.
That's But, so whenever we're up there brush hogging, he said he could come over and do them there, but he'd rather be able to do them in his garage, because
Yeah.
not just because it's winter, because it's just more work for him to go over there and do it. So
It was nice of him to offer.
Yeah.
That's good. And
he's been wanting to do,
maintain
he's
that.
mentioned it
Yeah.
a couple times, and he's really hot to trot on it, because
Good.
they were dedicated to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Paul Lane, right?
Paul Lane, right.
The one. The other
Yeah.
one doesn't have a plaque on it, doesn't have.
Anyway, so I just wanted to find out if anybody knew where the key was.
The key to the gate doesn't have another odd key on it, right?
I'll
That
check.
keychain?
I'll
It
check
might.
the keys. I did get some keys from Jesse, so I'll check to see if there's an odd key on there. Try it out.
They labeled?
Maybe bring my bolt cutters at the same
Well, I
time.
was gonna say, that's Plan B.
A universal key.
Right. Let's see, I skipped over an old business item. Any update or activity on the open space plan subcommittee?
Yeah, we're moving forward slowly. Actually, I'm starting to distribute assignments, so I'm looking at trying to match up chapters against people that might be interested in them.
Okay.
I've put a couple out already. I may tag some of you for
There you go.
help with that.
That works. That's a good way to do it.
But we just downloaded the new census data that came out last week. So that'll go into updating those sections that have population and this and that. But still, I'd like to have the front 5 sections that are basically just inventory type stuff, and some of it doesn't really need to change. The town history hasn't changed since the last last report. So I want to get those all updated, hopefully by the end of January or early February, and then move on to public input and thinking about what our goals are going forward.
Good. Let's see, I had, it's not on here, but a new business item, relatively minor, but relative to the foundation work up there, the Mackey Lumberyard sort of conglomerate over there, that's a kind of an expansive, they've got more than just the lumberyard over there. They've got a facility that if you happen to have a broken thermopane window, they've got a building over there just down the road a little further that can repair those. We happen to have one of those from a Universal Key. Stuff got locked out and took the Universal window opener, which happens to be a 3-pound mallet. But she got in. But they also have a concrete processing place up around the corner there. So there's a lot of little oddball things that are linked back into Mackey. Oh, and Jason, the guy that got the Christmas tree, he has relatives that work there, and so that's why he knew about this place. And they'll take, I think they'll take the concrete if it's clean for free. I know we were talking about bringing it to Graves. And if it's clean, they'll take it for $7-8 a yard, and if there's any metal in it, it's 20-something a yard.
Right.
And from what I can see there, I don't see any rebar or reinforcement steel in that stuff up there. So that'd be something the spring, if we can get that out of there, to have the town maybe haul it over to Mackey, and that would be a free drop-off.
Oh, that'd be great.
At any rate. That's all I've got. Anybody got anything else?
Ho, 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 before you go. It's a test. So when you get this little package, you have to keep it face down till everybody has theirs. It's a test.
Trying to braille read it.
You think Mackey would take some sand along with the
Think so.
concrete?
Maybe. Why, you get
Well, it might be easier on the town dump truck if they put a little sand in the bottom first.
Yeah, when we talk to the town, we'll get that straightened out with them.
Okay, time's up. What do you think it is? Okay, you may turn them over, students.
Wow.
So that's Merry Christmas.
Wow. Where'd you get these?
Historical Society, which we should all be members of. I'm pushing this
Hint,
because,
hint.
yeah. Yeah, actually, they were having a sale, so I got a few extra. Not all of them have all of the pictures. Some of them have the evangelical church, some of them don't. It was kind of inconsistent. But it's the library, well, somebody opened theirs.
I'll open one.
Yeah.
You want to give
I
it
got
to Chris?
Chris.
Huh? I got 3 of them there.
You did?
Yeah.
Good job.
That's nice, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
This was great.
thank you, Susan.
We got the Wheeler Brothers.
Carol ladies.
Yeah. And the library.
First Church is in there, right?
And then the Old Center School, which is the house over there, right on Main.
You and I didn't go.
And then
Steph got some you can share.
we got the church.
Yep, I noticed that.
This one is the Unitarian Church.
So did anybody?
Oh, this is
oh.
Gary did them all. Gary
And
Kangas.
then
I don't know who did the original artwork, but it's
Well, there's
nice.
a little,
Did he
Oh,
do
yeah,
it?
it
Yes,
says
it
his
says
name
right
on
there.
that, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, super! Isn't
See
he
right there?
talented? That's fantastic.
Where's his name?
Right here.
And don't you
Yeah.
wish this
Oh,
was
geez.
still a general
Wow.
store? Wouldn't you know? That's too bad. Things change.
Is
Is that the one in the corner of Elm?
Pardon?
Is that the one at the corner of Elm?
Yes.
Is that the building?
Yes, and it was not that long ago because Bill Shea bought some stuff there. You know, he talked about it in his little spiel there when the
Right.
2 grannies were at the church.
Yeah, they had a huge auction because they opened it up and it was like a
Yeah.
time warp.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like yeah, because they just kind of closed the doors.
And that was when the 70s, late 60s.
Oh, I don't know when they closed the doors. I know when the auction was. The auction was within the past 10 years.
Oh, okay. So it's
When
not
they
that long
yeah.
ago. Right.
Yeah, about 10 years ago probably. My mother was still alive. Oh, so no, maybe, right? It was longer than that. So I'd say probably been 15 now. 15 years ago, maybe? Because we got something from my mom on the auction quietly without her knowing. I can't remember what it was, but it was something.
And I didn't look at
Looking up
January's
next day.
calendar. We don't want to think about next year yet, do we? I didn't look.
We do.
Huh?
is the building that was the store still there?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
yoga.
it's the hub-
It's
the-
the yoga studio.
Yeah, the yoga.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The wellness center, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that
Yep.
was it.
So the actual yoga studio is the you know, you
Where
walk
the
in
right, right. Well,
You
there's a
wanna do
picture
it
of
once
it in
from now, you don't wanna
Kangus's
do it
book.
right
You know,
after
the
New
the
Year,
man
do you?
behind the counter and the
Yeah,
kids with the
What, like-
candy. And
Yeah,
That's
so
what
our-
else was-
yeah,
Yes.
those doors
Yeah.
and that's
Maybe
where
the
it
week
was.
Did you have
after.
something else?
Oh, we have
Well, if we
another
go back to
item.
Wednesdays, the Wednesday after New Year's is January 4th.
Christopher has a.
So if it's not the 4th, it'd be the 11th.
Yep, if I may, I have a few updates I just wanted to share from the Legislative Affairs brunch with CMRPC in Southern Ojibwe. There were a bunch of legislative updates that I think are going to impact stuff that you guys are working on. The first being, there's a new Office of Outdoor Recreation created at a state level, which is supposed to bridge the gap between DCR, the watershed, and all the various user groups. So it's going to be a new state agency, and it's going to be at the same level as DCR under the umbrella of the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs. But there was just a big kickoff last Monday at Mount Wachusett about it. The next one, there's expected to be an increase in trail grants that are available through Mass Trails. They're going to focus on trail connectivity and on adaptive trails. So there could be an opportunity there with the Malone property. The amount of the average grant is also expected to go up very significantly. And according to the representative that was at the meeting, the reasoning behind that is because all of the easy trail connections have been made, so now it's just the hard stuff. So they're expecting that to go quite a bit. The Public Lands Preservation Act was either updated or passed, but it now mandates any town or governmental authority that gets rid of open space to replace it with either comparable land or by setting up a reserve account. There was also a change to how CPC funds can be used for trail connections. Now they can be used to purchase easements and purchase land in terms of years instead of only being able to buy it permanently. There's also a strong recommendation out of, I can't remember which one of the speakers gave this, that the town look at the possibility of increasing the tax rate on utility easements, specifically on utility easements until they allow those easements to be used for trail access, which is something that I've shared with the town administrator, and I hope we're going to look at as a town. The more noteworthy things that happened were after the meeting. I met with Janet, who is the executive director at CMRPC, and I asked her if she'd be willing to work on a joint project with us and the other Quabbin and the watershed towns. And she said, well, yeah, we'll have to run that by MRPC because that's your planning authority, but what kind of project were you thinking about? And the example I came up with on the spot was, well, how about a trail connectivity feasibility study between Hubbardston and all the other Quabbin and watershed towns? And she thought that sounded like a great idea. She believes there's actually going to be grant money available for putting together that project, so that we'll be able to do either some kind of direct technical assistance grant or some other grant. But planning's going to look at trying to move that forward and work with the TA as part of our economic development work, but that's something that open space should most certainly become involved in, because there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff for trails inventory and stuff like that. But the whole idea of doing something like that is that then puts us in a better place to go after Mass Trails money if we're trying to acquire parcels to link our trails in with the trail systems in neighboring towns, and to come up with a regional plan for it. CMRPC is also going to take an official position on the watershed access plan, which is going to mark the first time they do that. And I talked to Ann Gopi too, but most of that stuff is specifically for planning. But those are the updates I specifically wanted to share with you guys, and I wanted to reach out for your thoughts and your input on putting together the feasibility study for trail connectivity. And then, assuming that that is something that we're interested in as a town, your assistance in bringing it forward.
Well, trail interconnectivity is absolutely a focus. You're probably familiar with the trail subcommittee group associated with the watershed. He's on it.
I'm on it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's right, dummy. But that links in with that big map that we're developing and stuff like that, and it kind of comes up in, gets up to the southwest corner of Hubbardston a little bit, but then expanding it past that would be a phenomenal thing. Did you say that the trail grant money could be used for property acquisition? Did you say that?
Easements, right? You said?
I didn't.
Yes.
That's Mass Trails, right? I didn't know Mass Trails could be.
I would have to go back and look at the notes on it, but specifically for doing the work related to connectivity. I'd have to go and double check the wording.
Because expanding past that, that's been sort of something that I've really been interested in. But getting from that southeast corner, there's definitely some properties, and not too many, that would enable getting up to the state forest. I mean, that would be a major thing to start with, because once you get to the state forest, then you can expand out in quite a few directions, and it'd probably be a little bit easier. But there's obviously a lot of trails in the state forest, and then it would be good if we could expand that even eastward further. So that would probably get a little bit more challenging as well. But definitely property acquisition, there's a blockage there. There's a lot of access that gets you up to Williamsville Road without too much difficulty. But then going any further north of that is not very easy without property acquisition. And again, there's only a few properties in there, but if you could get on relative to acquisition, then you could go northeastward up across Route Road and then get into a couple properties and hit the state forest up in that area.
That'd be
Yep,
great.
That's exactly what the project would look at. Like, what would those acquisitions have to look like?
Yeah.
Is it possible to do it through easement rights? There's other key connections too, like just looking at the watershed section and right off of downtown here. There's a couple of places where you could make key connections and essentially, if you could get a short new trail, have access next to the ball field that then takes you out there. But then you have to deal with the fact that there's a railroad crossing on the former High Bridge Road, but that's not necessarily insurmountable. But with just a
Yep.
few of those
Yep.
projects put together, and all of a sudden you have trails that run all the way from the watershed, all the way over into Westminster.
Yeah,
And that could be a pretty.
that'd
well,
be a delightful project, a big project, but a delightful project. Because I know talking to Jassy and Tom Bradco, their property abuts watershed land up and behind, and that would get you to Old Westminster Road, and then you could cross that, and I can see gates and stuff on the south side of Old Westminster Road and stuff, so the potential is there to do some significant trail interconnectivity, but a wonderful, but big project. And if there's money, I mean, a huge thing is definitely there are some properties, and I'm familiar with the ones over in the Route Road, Cruise Road area. They're all vacant now. And that's a big part of this whole land prioritization thing. But then if you get things that bubble up to the top of the land prioritization list, and now it's, okay, how are we going to acquire this? And so that's a big thing, so.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I'd like to be able to do with it, because it's come up at the Economic Development Committee a lot, and it's also come up at planning, because essentially we're a little painted into a corner as a town in terms of what we can do for economic development, and our trails and agritourism are
Yeah.
the things that we can do
Absolutely.
that the residents of the town are okay with doing. So.
Absolutely.
The other thing to add, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the watershed access plan for the northern section of town, but those trails that go from High Street to over to Old Westminster, with the exception of the train track crossing, weren't previously recognized for public use in the access plan. In the new access plan, they are. The ones that go over the track and the ones that dead end into private property, they're not recognized by the access plan, and we'd have to deal with some of those problems and have them taken up in subsequent years.
Good.
Could we,
Could-
oh, go ahead.
Just relative to that, I mean, that was a lot of information, and I'm not sure I captured all of it, and I'm not sure Rick got it all, but could you, Chris, could you summarize that and
Yep.
send it to Rick?
Actually, I sent you an email summary of it just recently.
Okay,
I can send it again.
good.
Could the feasibility study also include the mid-state possibility? Because I feel like that's an underutilized, you cross it on 62 there, but I don't know where it pops out, and that land that is town-owned or unknown, doesn't that kind of...
I've been waiting for the new TA to come on. We're going to relaunch that.
Oh, okay.
Again this
Because
spring.
that could be part of that, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of that's
Yeah.
already there, it's just not in top shape. I don't think it gets that much use, does it? Mid-state? I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it-
No,
Does it?
Mid-State does.
Pretty
it?
good usage.
Oh, okay, I'm just not,
I'm on it at least weekly.
oh, okay. I'm just not aware
I
of it.
mean, not, but I see other people and it's
Yeah.
well worn.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's
Good
easy to
news.
follow.
And then over to Wachusett. Wasn't that the
It-
hope? Yeah.
It continues, yeah,
Yep.
the Mid-State Trail goes over
Mid-State Trail.
the summit.
That's wonderful, Christopher.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff,
Yeah,
Chris.
absolutely.
All right, I think, any other new business or topics anyone else wants to bring up?
Do you have your date?
Next meeting dates, Rick's got a couple choices here.
Yeah, the if we want to get back to the Wednesday, first Wednesday of the month, the first Wednesday in January is the 4th.
Nah.
The the second Wednesday is the 11th.
I can never make a first Wednesday.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, so we'll
Oh,
have to
that's right,
change
we
it.
have other
We
commitments.
could change it officially to the second Wednesday. How's the
So the
second Wednesday?
11th, is that the
Second Wednesday's work?
11th then? Yes?
Anybody?
Sounds good. January 11th it is.
And going forward,
Make it the second Wednesday of the
make it
month.
for the second Wednesday. Okay.
2023.
Wow,
Yeah.
11/23.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, hearing nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor? All right.